94.7 Asempa FM so ne Ekosiisen dwumedie no asogo so a wotie no yeda mo nyina asesan ema mo nyina akwa ababio and we are getting started ekofa NDC press conference Sami Jemfi edi etu dwa studio in the wase yehwe na yeto aso eden komo no ebe me hye mo bosa me ne Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong ABD and komo just to let you understand and appreciate in komo a ekosui and what the expert opinion no esi ete doc akwa ba net saying
enua obi
ekoye
nyame adom
yehu wa ha na acha kakra all too soon I feel no air by we
right
because say beginning of the year you di nkomo ama only eche nyome was here ma this year our best year ever. Unfortunately COVID be say nyoma minim say no ye enough excuse edema ye mu bia wo share say obaby bia COVID into your ntimi anye. Would COVID be a better excuse?
We all me chair for excuse dear it mean ka say excuse nanso so a good reason e be bema sene na nka wo hwehwe sene wa bekọ no anko ne sa na we so nyete say regular occurrence we bibia like a foul bia pusa enti it's okay, it's a good reason to give your friend be sensitivity analysis. We are outlier ne chese nya dia even post or business now we sensitivity analysis obedwen say bia say ko ba say we ensi na we anya say may say but outliers there sometimes a bro adwen on tiase so bibi sa na esi because me so bi adwen say bedroom bia we are seeing ebe to airport bia mu at the same time into any extreme it's okay. However, you should be very quick to FABB agility. Agility in the say, and found your basic life must still go on. And you should be very quick to change. Say BBC na say be at all out of target cry. Also to Mrs. Sun, you very quickly with the tide. And you don't make it an excuse. You can give it as a reason. However, because life is still going on, time will not permit you and say COVID in T. For example, date of birth and to answer that even though COVID came. In this year no also we did 20. Ubedi. And when it keeps moving until you must also be deliberate and keep moving. Just that they be a quiet and cabe first be moving over son. Until don't make it an excuse. It can be a reason why things didn't work. However, be agile. Sisanium 10 and move on the same way and moving on with or without COVID.
Wow. And me kind post back one or liking how was say your boy and brass individuals to how our political parties they approach elections.
Right. And
the resources, the time, everything we put into elections. Right. No. O say yensu na ya brab on yemane nyesa.
Sabe pepe look. COVID aba. Nenzo so yebeto aba.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? COVID aba and so politicians are campaigning. COVID aba and so they are doing jingles. They are actually going house to house. They have changed their style of politicking. In the first maybe and comment rallies be braining but they see they are rather going house to house, retail and things like that. Campaign. Virtual, digital. Immediately they are agile, almost sunny whatever happens, or say I'm making sure say about twaba near you will be obedient. It doesn't change their program at all. In this also say COVID aba yet here, but life doesn't stop because of that. And you shouldn't stop also. Energy pa omode tie on your yechi. Almost shun your money and they still they are going in the face in the heat of the infections. They are driving themselves all over the country. They also Sanon also because I always say that you will be a product of their thoughts.
Of their thoughts.
Of their thoughts.
Politicians
no, will be a product of their thoughts. Into to Honomoana, what be a part of almost thought I ever next year, whoever leads. Until you must take your own life into your hands and drive it with the same energy, the same focus, the same tenacity. Nothing breaks the politicians. Nothing breaks them. Can you imagine President Mahama? Nothing breaks him. He's going night, sometimes midnight. No, Krabi has no campaign. Nanado Dango Guvado at 76. Sometimes we took one bonting, or took one or by the next moment or some another region. We will cover the bay who's Oda about 10 a crown and need us. I also will say, who dear grow? So Sapa Pan at 76, a year cabinet meeting, something up to 4 a.m. Adiaching at 10 o'clock or 9 at the office. Ufron my hates the road driving. Ukoso only jina naso kasa. Utu wada President Mahama Tiokrabia say Mamena a fan vice president Siano. He's moving from one region to another. She doesn't stop. What to honor the young man also COVID in tea. You will be a product of their thoughts. Rise up and do something. Don't give excuses, Debbie.
That's really interesting. As we approach 2020 elections, no, Obi say okay, this year me set out some ABC. Yes, there is a reason. COVID intimi and aka barely 1 month to the end of the year. Should I give up and say okay, may train not next year mum matoto nyoma eyi.
Yo, men give you up that it will be asim. Never say never. So we give you up effort now they are calm. Wa brabonum say me decide say me give you up. Sa effort now we take a decision now but me say effort na ka say me decide say me bibi. Anya hwekra me nya bibi afrim. So we ye bibi na say ensusan so bi kra ma why ye bibi. Dan say we give you up. Look, nyame timi ye bibia. But also wutumi ye bibi na nyame afa de ai bi fufro. There's the story or the parable of the event, the miracle of the bread and the fishes. Now enkrofo ding enipa bi over 5,000 people. But nyame fa bibi so and the feed yom in the bread and on the fishes no and no time and no turning around. Now say cry here, make here for be also what pon ye wa end because COVID in tea. What you may be a cycle. Why and then they say won't compare you maybe because so unya juma. Ebi a nneoma na oton COVID by nti ni nyina say untumi ntomi bi madanika nti unya hwe Debbie, don't give up, get up bibi kakra bi abetumi bi aye unim kakra bi a obeye bi na nyame afa no adane na mana ekese so when nya na okas we give you up there a decision so we give you up the consequence ne say you are ready for poverty, you are ready for no results but so when give you up now ye bibia unim bibi ketua bi a obeye no nyame timi dane no man ye bibi kese enti give up there me man ma wa brabo mu da mesa go back for President Mills, may he so rest in peace. Occur over and over and over and over on his dream for about 3 times. At a point, no be a sereno. It drew maybe you answer I president. When I know Kufado, occur back to back to back to back. At a point, to be on himself, Papa wa bread. But he was still having his vision in his heart and in his mind. Today he's president. In fact, there was a time people wrote him off. Today he's president and he's even fighting for another term. He's not giving up. Look at President Mahama. Many people think, say, why president in Bianca or you're okay. No, he still have passion. Say, I can do more for my country. He's not giving up. Sometimes, in a situation, you can easily give up, but he's getting up and believing, say he will win. You'll be surprised, he can win. Nanadu too can win. Don't give up. No, don't give up at all. Sorry, ye bibi. Uye bibia nyame di nshirabe to nsuo guso na wonim de besi mo nse na adane bibi no anya hwe kra dia you have inputted 0. Don't expect anything because 0 times 1 million kra is 0. But so we have 1 mpo na so we have 1 na times 1 and even 1 times 0 most when you 1 until don't sow 0. When you sow 0 you have given up times anything, nothing will happen to you. Don't give up.
Wow. And Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong and attending Kano. Yamrani share, of course, I mean, expertise no here in these times. There is a debate at Ekosiisen, and in him say COVID a buy, as far as the economic indicators now concerned, you some very big hits. I mean, share GDP growth from an average of bare 6%. You see, I hit even according to the finance minister, bare 0.9, and no quite projected growth. And also no edan China, the issue of debt sustainability. And CCR IMF the ambassador projects by end December your debt to GDP hit by 76-78%. And on the be say then conditions my country because HIPC edru sa condition. Of course there is a huge debate as to the former president can or say drew HIPC we abaya baba react say and no clear. We've seen a correspondence between graphic and IMF country rep say there be omo admit Ghana into HIPC and non konkodano. What is our real situation? Your situation is here to saying in terms of your debt sustainability.
Yo, we so a very good topic as a utie me a ya me pese utie economic macroeconomic conversations a ya me mo adwen enkodi politicians na chi ma wadwen hu se ensusanso be ne benya o memeso enti ya ate ase ma ho wonya ate ase mfa ho ne de obi be kan fa ho eboa ma wadwuma na oye no utimi de neoma keka bom ekeka si ani ma ne boa wa. Now globally no say e ka debt to GDP a ne nkyase a ne say ebia me abrantie misika bosumi bi eba me nsem ye 1 cedi ena 1 cedi no na me hia ne ma bi o se metime to edisiesie fie ba na me 1 cedi ni ntimi nto ena nyame ya dom banka misika no kɔ hɔ no ebia me na mo kan se mepe ebia 60 pesos na me de akoto sa de no omo nhwe me 1 cedi amegye no so that bosumi bi ebia be se afintem in 12 months no omo betimi atete 60 pesos ni interest kakra you can't debt to GDP a quite say sa scenario am penti enti sa brantie no oje 1 cedi ena wakoje bosia 60 pesos a odi twa no ho na ebi odi akoto bibia besifie. Now eno kire say e ka odi no eye 60% of sika onya na eba ne nsem na ne sika sema ho odi say abrante na nhwe ne sika sema no san kobo another bosia bi another 30 pesos na be dru be say 90 pesos a na je say oje 1 cedi na nso ka odi no eye 90 pesos e koba sa debt to GDP no me de ye enfato ho for sa brantie situation na je say adwuma wo ye bia no oye de atuaka enti na je say oje ne 1 cedi na no emu be say 90 pesos ko
ekotuaka
ansa na ye betua ho interest na je sika won nsem ono o de be hwe no school o de be tadi ani adie o de be ma ne ma any light ne ne ma no wan hwe a onya enti na is wa be poor person now why you careful you be in this cycle forever and there be adwuma bia no ukoye ema bank kra de ne kanu. The only way abantu no betimi coming out no and say also timi ye bibia be ma 1 cedi e ba ne nsem no e bi e 5 cedis se nya 5 cedis pe na je say debt na 90% almost of 1 cedi no se see and he's making it debt sustainable because the 5 cedis obetimi atwam be se mpre oha obese nya bidia ni mo so de ye indina say the debt sustainability profile say nipa no ankra no eye saa na wo de ba oman mu atie oman mu no ye obibi e friend fiscal policy ni ye je say aban no enioma oya edisika bre no na afenioma oya ofa so spend sika entitem bia no no revenues no ebi ye through tax ebi so ye through non tax and an expenses no na ode ye enioma as developmental stuff entitem bia no aban no gene revenues a Ghana situation ne say your revenues no it is not even up to 16 or 17% of your GDP entitem bitam bia no sika e buy ensem no esua compared to problems I war any or how I die so see this sika ko solve into the aban also ye ne say also fa kwan bi so masika ba ne sam na increase na be miti enioma also spending on no nanso so bia be den so be ye amani munum ya wanya say sika nde aye into the also ye ne say also obobosia bono ebi hono a obono omani mu a friend local debt profile ebi so hono ma je so kwa ama no ne ekoto nkrofo ene omudi nkomone ade no mama niska na usually no ni nyina ade ebi a friend interest ebe si de obo because I ka now say e kana obo na ama no ne no say ekodo so a enam say ama no ne fo no mu dis ntino ebe ya dollar rated e che say obo no amansensi kadie mu dwa no sika use dollar se kobansa na interest abetua no so dollar. Now remember say yenso ye bese sika ye cedis ne ya convert ya ko dollar na ya kotua kana san kotua ho interest inte kame say mebia no ye nya sika kakra bi ye how doso ye spend more than the nya no inte say o see a close difference na o see kobo bosia either internally or externally inte say bosia bono ye ka external de no ne say be convert aba cedis ne ade ne interest wom ne ade na ye hwesika ye kura any sika ye nyina ya generate through production in the economy and no ye this since ne ye ka say debt to GDP ratio na just ye hwese e ka wo de ne hu nsi hu ne hu amane bono so we dey compare one kasa the economic might of the country ratio ne ye sen enti say ye ka say IMF make projection say by the end of the year no your debt to GDP could see 76%. The chira say yemfa ne see sika sem hu mpuntu GDP na twa no fo nyini kire no 100%. Now so a car sa GDP no ho ye fa editua no 76%. Not just say Rebecca barely just about 20 something percent, 24. And next maybe no I say wo chiro sa na man no ye can say debt to GDP a chire. Now in global economics no ye free be HIPC. Now HIPC na it say program no say wo to say school na wo kwa me apply first na me apply school no hwe me nioma ne ade almost wa gime na omo gime maybe a course am penny dey mama HIPC ni a program. Okay. In addition to say HIPC ni a program, HIPC no see your condition.
Condition. Enti in a highly indebted poor countries. Program no highly indebted poor countries initiative.
Right.
Okay.
Na a program no so no e word insusa so e may yetimi ka say country we ebia order line and our country on that line. A different from say this is a HIPC country that are signed to the initiative. Okay. And the TRC say a brand here now make us all one city as I say Wabobo say be a 90 pesos. It means all cover be a make a chain say be a or ye poor. And that's why enter into the poverty line. Obetimi I say many bank maybe Kumama bank maybe your mama and bankruptcy filing. Nanso so onye mpa wa ho kire da utadwam ne wa ho dem no obi a meka njo say ho kire enti two things are also what ase ne say your debt to GDP situations no it has become worse, particularly because of COVID abentino and you man nanka ye mo ho brase ye be spend this account no say you see ko pesca be ko fa ne he so na wo be ai just ko bobo say enti yakoba manatra baby ani ye pe no so be so hu a ubehu no deficit no fiscal deficit enti no what's the fiscal deficit near per 4 point something you see I in number 11 plus and here cry be do be 15 and 16 and no should tell you say sika na nka bi a yenya ye no ya spend it na no say spend ya ye ko fa won he ye ko ba bosia enti e debt levels and the dia ko do ba bia you better say you the symptoms of a HIPC kind of state, but I don't just say HIPC, not necessarily.
Because according to the IMF, no HIPC initiative, the Ghana, you complete in 2004,
right?
And when you complete, you can't come back. It didn't mean call into the program again. But I don't interest so we should data and see conditions in my country be called into that initiative no drew
answer.
Okay, enti so we share IMF document on the buy into where International Monetary Fund Regional Economic Outlook Sub-Saharan Africa almost a difficult road to recovery October 2020 and say okay and when for the sake of a TF would probably focus on the executive summary. Let me see. Great. Area Kawa has said, faced with an unprecedented health and economic crisis, countries have acted swiftly to protect their people from the worst of the crisis. But amid high economic and social costs, many have been reopening their economies. The current outlook for 2020-2021 is broadly unchanged from the June update, with activity in 2020 projected to contract by 3%, still the worst outcome on record. This represents a drop in real per capita income of 5.3%, bringing per capita incomes back to 2013 levels. For 2021, regional growth should recover modestly to 3.1%. This outlook is subject to some key downside risks, particularly regarding the path of the COVID-19 pandemic, the resilience of the region's health systems, and the availability of external financing. Policymakers aiming to rekindle their economies now have fewer resources at their disposal and will likely face some difficult choices on current trends significant financing gaps are likely to prevail, and without significant additional financial assistance, many countries will struggle to simply maintain macroeconomic stability while also meeting the basic needs of their populations. The need for transformative domestic reforms to promote resilience, including revenue mobilization, digitalization, and fostering better transparency and governance, is more urgent than ever. And the IMF a project say in sub-Saharan Africa no such challenges no ebeba, and because economic growth ebe contracting, you know, government would have to do more, including also they would have to make very critical and difficult choices.
Right.
And the choices need be say make obabosia and as I mean konkobabosia.
Right.
And when sumo obabosia na a shuti or debt to GDP.
Correct.
Up. What should governments do? Because clearly,
very good question. Enti me assure some go social media and then could pull document. So that document is no kind of a list of countries that have qualified for, have qualified for. 2 are eligible or potentially eligible. And last one, may wish to receive HIPC initiative assistance as of February 2020. And no countries will be doing, but we are saying they have qualified for. And now said they are eligible and now said they are potentially eligible, and now said they may wish to receive HIPC initiative. In the condition and the program, they are two different things. We are also our pre-decision point countries, and then critical. Pre-decision point is I'm go for me aligning up. Say take initiatives on person apply pa. They are in to go. Now, and then also government here, and you might be also government here. Me sure say ya can na send me young man now or anyone see the sika send ya asem. And you may be almost a ban debt ankasa bad, but your ability to make that debt payable no and the important thing that you must check. Into your friend be debt sustainability. And we are at a point on our was talking no friend smart borrowing any idea the interpretation and say me ko jibusia babusana major no the medie no has the ability to pay me back so that debt no is neutralized. Dr. Baumi also has a similar interpretation of same. Said this debt profile is much more better and richer than what it used to be. Your debt to GDP no the money you who money critical and say and you man able me neutralize its effect no and ebe man who so when my make say e wo wa wo te kageti asese a wo tie no ene ne wo ye no ba ko ene say de ye disika na yakobo bosia na ebe ye no, does it have the potential to pay the interest and the debt over a very short time and so the idea beginning to me yes then we have a problem. Number 2, your revenue levels no sometimes you can say your revenue targets, but the opposite who revenue or minor revenue say kuya and kuya pa and so no we check revenue percentage of GDP so that it can be neutralized in terms of the debt to GDP's effect. Ideally, no say correct. I'll say it me a certain percentage of GDP. The same way I can say debt to GDP, it do 70 levels and 65 kra. I'll say revenues anya shekra by 25% of GDP. Make us say yen nam ho baby yen do 20 kra. In fact, 17, 16 kra bedding. And not just say sika ya mobilizing no, it is nowhere near the debt we are taking to do the things we are doing. And this a revenue mobilization no say yantimi anya hu bibi pa dia, then our debt to GDP nothing will change. I didn't hear because interest payments and see when work a bonus no, some of them majority of them $1 denominated. Now so we a budgeter a budget pass or my interest payment in Kwan sometimes ya na sika ya tamdiko tiensi hono e so chempuntu nyuma sika ya bato ho Entina just said they are brand and sika 1 cedi a neka etimiti 90 pesos no. Why we are Juma wo dia also call Juma cotton no money tax etel ne ade nyina no wo ye adwuma ma nipa na yakobo no hobosia no because at the end of the day no revenues ni nyina tax and non tax no ye year ye di mu be se wo hanji chemu bebre ne kotua nsi ho na principal na nka side ye be ti ho enti se ye ntimi anye bibia amfa interest payments. So be a very negotiating interest payment for some of them to be turned into grants. I it be a zero interest near there. Now ya masa you because then HIPC levels and and your program you don't need to go to the program. Program need the because to go or not to go to the program what I would tell bontain and I would turn just no instance so a bema or minus in here because my uncle HIPC na say me debt to GDP levels here HIPC proportions na say nuntine squeeze developmental funds na yenya sika nye bibia wona be affect and nisa me cancel HIPC cancer and it will still show on the economic cost of living and standard of living here there. And this is a dear actually say a HIPC and here the here say your revenue levels must change, interest payments must go down. Then what mobilization massive.
There was also the final point IMF erasing in the executive summary and almost say the need for transformative domestic reforms to promote resilience, including revenue mobilization,
must happen.
Digitalization,
yes,
and fostering better transparency and governance. A more urgent now than ever.
Now, and Africa must do. Ghana must do that now. This is the time we can leverage on digitalizing the entire economy. I didn't hear because COVID ama interactions, ne physical stuff, no. Ebianka first and be resistant. But the see no, ubetimi leverage on way ama. Ekwa faso gigi taxes ne chichi anioma ebia ho kwa ban ho kwa bibi ho ko to ade ne nioma anase taxes ne nioma na ebe digitalization na ebe corruption ni bi film. This is the time we leverage yenhwe wanim ne ama bibi enti bibi anu tua enti yes how to increase revenue mobilization through the ports, through the public service system, through social initiatives and bibia ye tua edididwa e wa ban fam. In fact, Continental Free Trade Area cry can they are initiating a digital payment system across the entire continent young use cash systems bebre. And thank God Ghana is moving there where we are trying to initiate a lot of digital stuff, but we should be quick to make it happen. Send your mobilization levels no be kosro na interest payment idea ba ko e betimi aye abeboa so no industrializing the whole economy because say import services not like say ye importation no to say the tie ya na say industrialize am producing your internally now reduce the demand for foreign exchange. Your forex reserves need now be depleted in time biano we say there's pressure on our forex situation na the dollar to CD relationship no say pa na say nge bia wo de cut $10 na $10 in the first na 5 cedis so see I won go bobosia but o cedi na say enti na e ka $10 no and am say o cedi na falling into no I say bia okope bia 15 cedis na say what cannot do so by not going to borrow but by not managing your forex situation well and when we industrialize it properly now reduce importer e boa mo timi manage sa ni me enti see timi increase revenues yetimi reduce interest payments yetimi digitalizing the economy to improve the revenue mobilization and change the entire systems now for yetimi bo modern say yebema forex situation no ya managing ye na nye say da bia ko bobosia e de betu futum ansa na ya stabilize your forex situation bro nye ba just ye kojiko ko bibi na e de abeto ho na afa yenya a number of months of import cover say kobasa we are going in circles, we are not going anywhere as a country na enya politician na affect no wa utie me no wo na affect to entihweni ye na yen je sa
the other thing ebe in this year debt sustainability analysis ya ka say okay Ghana eje busia bebre o de measure against your GDP levels aye kono enye
right
ebia ka se wo hwe enonko debt to GDP na you might be missing the point because also share debt sustainability analysis. I don't know, there are about 7 factors to consider in tebia debt to GDP no baby I want no any But there was also interest payment. There was also revenue mobilization. There was also all the other factors put together.
Right.
You know, because after maybe your mind do no a year and answer a year.
Right.
In our case, say we debt to GDP neton chain. Now share all the other 6 factors now. Are we doing well?
We are not doing well. We are not doing. We are taking baby steps. We are departing from the West, but we are not where we are supposed to be. And yet, you are making a lot of improvements. In fact, even in revenue mobilization, you are making a lot of improvement, but we are nowhere. And Ghana a born homoden the and so problem I shame like I'm now with them no effort also putting as wabe drew through. Enti history, our economic data, debt to GDP has never improved. Revenue mobilization, we always miss our targets. Digitalization has never been a case I consider. Sika ye jesi ade be ye budget ni ade no wokɔ budget ni mu a just a micro amount to be pay and a developmental stuff, capital expense the aka ni na ye consumables emolument the aka ni na interest payment and nneoma entimi accelerate MMF debt to GDP enti say ya anya bibia amfa ho a we cannot say a debt sustainability measure. We are not. It is not until say you be taking a bold initiative. Like I say, you may home between this time and that time. Now check it. Say COVID the buy. COVID the buy. Woman say a friend is saying you lost in your man. Am I a deficit situation? You capture you managing it. Say see ano. It's almost useless. Emrana say this ceiling to your deficit position. Why? It is useless because when an unforeseen exigency happened. So sensitivity analysis COVID by no. I try a bobre says I'm no crying to me hold it for now because your capacity no foundational on our macroeconomics is not correct. And no as a child say Ghana baby also could do no you knew how bow. Into you now see a Timmy sorry Jina near demanded the right thing from our politicians. We don't have time. Inti say you can say debt to GDP no kwa is not enough to hear other things check interest payment what debt to GDP check it compared to a year friend is saying capital expenditure in the budget check sika you making on consumptions check monument and in your man inti I mean, we should cut down on a number of things. Say, me increase revenue. How about the expense? Okay, me increase revenue. How about expenses? Are you making as economy? Or my you seek as some ensure that correct. Now your debt to GDP no. So won't me now increase revenue, sir. And your man will spend it on also checking out cutting. Now when your man spend it on check it. Corruption is taking a certain percentage. Won't check it. Digitalization say bianca police for any punitive measures in your man a beman for or more offenses in your man immediately a charge your money I just can't I don't know yes animal young funny say any padodo a form or Benjamin and I say Benjamin crap political appointments same fans all ministry bako and now in a authority bako one authority no it be almost revenue margins crying your share no the CEOs better for CEOs for now one authority pay. That's how one authority no your first CEO, your deputy, your assistant deputy, your one deputy. Omunyina ebe mo car, ebe mo enti say enti increase revenue sir. Why can't we cut down or align our expenses so that it will be productive enough? Then the last one they say, okay, enti trasa nipa dodo na ye fan so so. Adenti na yan link your performance to revenue. Enti yan fan say my farm minister way. Enipa phone and any year Juma as deputy minister, no problem. We should be able to say, a Juma minister, no, this is the revenue that is coming from this ministry to compensate for our GDP in terms of revenues. So that so when Timia makes our revenue margins now, we don't spend a similar amount as we are spending now. Now, why? You don't have any revenue target for the ministry compared to your GDP, but we are spending as if we have everything as a nation. We don't. And I don't see any commitment on the part of Ghana, particularly on our expense side. When Nisika, Bobosia, also sustainability, when you are not cutting down on your expense, and then you are deceiving yourself. Now we are here Kenyan and episode me and make us your mom is our position in tea. Your mom pay me and real fee as my making. Mr. Majimi car, Mr. Majimi secretary, Mr. Majimi cook, Mr. Majimi deputy. But I'm saying, say, young Koyechi, Nayan say, the expenses we are making. Not more than 40% is right for us to make. And as long as our revenues in the NTV making it here, we should take a bold decision. Now say ministers near this silly metro I am fantoso, MPs near this silly metro I am fantoso, deputy CEOs in authorities and agencies near metro, so that we know say this is the cost of running government. This is the revenue the government is bringing. So yen timi raise revenue more than the cost, shut down the numbers. And
the other thing is in terms of looking at your in debt stock, no, I was here nominal figures now say the percentage increment because a buyer who say okay, so what's your nominal figures now? I mean, from 122 billion to something in the regions of 150 something billion Ghana cedis now. But the percentage increment, no, any straw as compared to what happened under the eddies. That's been the argument about Eddie Atuja. Which one should we focus on more?
Any say that so my meal would also add that in never call and I don't only never that a dem on washi. Yen exams.
Yes.
And as a young economic reporting. The year when they say what is the real effect on the year timai on mine Makobo Busia 1 cedi.
Yes.
Okay. And a massa kobo ABA another 1 cedi. We say 100%.
Yes.
Okay. Now if massa kobo 50 pesos. We say I know 50 I know be 50% of the first one I'm a boy, you know. But remember since it's here no a 1 cedi na movie called 22 cedi 50 pesos.
Yes.
Effect no of say we hu ne saa na boa ma otimi so sika sema no ye say na be ya 1 cedi na wonya no we bia fa ho enti we shouldn't be talking about percentages they are reporting percentages they are economic analysis but they can lives as far as the effect of the debt is on the lives of the people no hwesika dondo a yakoje ene hu sunsanso a de breye na wo de akansem as an economy. Now, who Ghana say Ghana is like a limited liability organization with a chief executive and an executive team. And it is a chief executive, no, the balance sheet and support on the expense. When chief executive, when you say you be making loss, you loss and then they say fiscal deficit. You say a fee, you be making loss and so you spend it. And the company ben abe running, when you say me shut down running this year, mean you making loss by me. When you don't have any profit in sight, you don't continue running like that. That is the same way we should see Ghana. Not in the eyes of politics, not in the eyes of who is speaking against or who is speaking for, but in the eyes of becoming the nation and Akufo-Addo describes, say, we can become a first world economy. That is why how we build it. And it's not about percentages, it's about the real nominal effect on our lives.
On our lives. As a people, and that's where we should look at. And one million, I mean, the way forward, what we should be doing. And the finance minister, Eco Parliament, members of Parliament, so I'm now on spending sikabi in the first quarter of 2021. You nimsa by convention, no, say you true about area. Now you find say abina mpona air twaswa. The current budget are you implementing will end after the first quarter of sa year, no, in the end, 2021, first quarter of 2021, and a current budget, no, a bear running the full cycle. Now, a baby of a would have to present to Parliament
a new budget,
a new budget. In the end, you know, Finance Minister called Parliament say, "Oman the Kwamon spend something in the regions of 21.9 billion in the first 3 months of 2021." A usual, and I say something unusual.
Oh, I think it's usual. Usual because my buy not is a cannot assume say we're winning already.
Okay.
And I think say Emrano Maho Kwaima abine assume say the real budget no end when his term ends.
Yes.
So that the new government, either the existing or an entirely new government, will have the opportunity to present a new budget for Parliament to approve, and then it can be drawn down or it can be almost word be almost appropriate. And I think
let me go through the Constitution of the Republic. So Article 180, expenditure in advance of appropriation, and where it appears to the President that the Appropriation Act in respect of any financial year will not come into operation by the beginning of that financial year, he may, with the prior approval of Parliament by a resolution, authorize the withdrawal of monies from the consolidated fund for the purpose of meeting expenditure necessary to carry on the services of the government in respect of the period expiring 3 months from the beginning of the financial year, or on the coming into operation of the act whichever is earlier.
Right. It's important. They say that 3 months window, a lot of things will happen. And they must be pre-financed or money must be made available for them. For example, feeding initiatives, stationary expenses for all the agencies and the government institutions. The new government now in the budget, the whole country will shut down. And the government machinery to still run, irrespective of when the political party who has won or the existing that has won can present a substantive budget. And it is just to avoid any lacuna in the economic management of the economy, so that things can still run and all say expenses that are necessary. In the news, I think I'll be planning for new cars, and I think I'll be planning for new salary increases. No, very critical expense. Affecting government running its machinery before the new budget is put before Parliament. And I think it's in order. Just that I haven't perused what he submitted and the details of that expense tickets. Probably you have to look at it and be sure whether it is something that we can make any contribution to.
Yeah, very, very important. Now, Mesha, I think the statement has been forwarded to me. Mesha, if we can get some highlights now, well, headline here. 2021 expenditure in advance of appropriation.
Right.
It fits into Article 180.
Right.
It's on the authority of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana. And the first point, number one, I say, Right Honorable Speaker, in accordance with Article 180 of the 1992 Constitution, and in line with Standing Order 145 of this Honorable House, on the authority of His Excellency the President, I beg to move that this Honorable House approves by resolution the withdrawal of the sum of 27 billion 434,180,520 Ghana cedis from the Consolidated Fund for the purpose of meeting expenditure necessary to carry on the services of government in respect of the period expiring 3 months of the financial year, or on the coming into operation of the Appropriation Act in respect of the 2021.
Right. So he's making sure he's quoting the law that allows him to do same.
To do that.
Is there any detail? Is there any detail?
Detail.
Maybe we can do a proper analysis when we compare year on year.
39 pages.
Okay.
The statement.
And we can. I think we can give some thought to it maybe at another time. But in a very critical year, maybe it's possible this might be the highest ever because of a post-COVID kind of narrative. Into certain expenses are increasing. For example, the allowances and the exemptions that the government has given to the frontline staff, it is a short of some revenue. They have to probably make room for some other stuff. I haven't compared it with the last period when we were getting into election 2016 and what the projections were for the same 91 days, and compared, say, is this higher or is not? And the items are all considered. Is it the same items they considered before then? I'm sure we should probably do that analysis and be able to guide and say one or two things.
Let me share some portions of the statement and on GDP growth.
Right.
And now more recovery. Point number 24. Also, Mr. Speaker, this means that we can now approach the next financial year with increased optimism, largely because we already have a plan and I may say a track record. We expect growth to rebound strongly in 2021 at 5.7%.
That is overambitious for me.
Okay, I'll say as a result of our implementation of the transformation and revitalization phase of the Ghana Cares or Batampa program. In addition, we have also scaled down the projected 2021 fiscal deficit from 9.6% of GDP as reported in the mid-year budget review to 8.3% of GDP, reflecting the improved revenues from the anticipated pickup of economic activities and the more rationalized public expenditure program. With this path, we expect to return to the fiscal responsibility threshold of 5.0% of GDP fiscal deficit and a positive primary balance earlier than the 2024 fiscal year previously announced.
I think government is being positive. That is good. But I think it should be a cautious optimism because five there for me for what the work we have done, we don't see say bit me 5 immediately.
Okay.
We should be hovering around 4 among other things. After 1 year, yes. And it's good. I mean, usually when you stretch yourself like that, it is better than to look at a very small amount and not meet into or cast almost per 5 point something. Now so much me stretch it be drew 4.5 it's better than so be hit it 4 or be cast 4 no I be hit it 3. So I think it's good, and the MPP government usually stretches themselves in terms of targets that sometimes they don't meet, but it's always better than sometimes the previous one.
Okay, but I don't know. So when you are reassuring, I will be my final point on and still on the statement on the core, about revenues. Now, or can we say the fiscal operations of the economy for the January to September 2020 period show that on provisional basis, both revenues and expenditures exceeded their respective target, resulting in a fiscal deficit of 9.0% of GDP against a programmed deficit of 8.9% of GDP. More specifically, total revenues and grants for the period, which totaled 36.7 billion Ghana cedis, exceeded the target of 35.7 billion by 972.7 million or 2.7%. Total expenditures, including arrears clearance, on the other hand, amounted to 71.3 billion against a target of 70 billion, showing a deviation of 1.3 billion Ghana cedis or 1.8 from target. The overall fiscal deficit resulting from the revenues and expenditure performance for the period through September 2020 is 34.6 billion Ghana cedis or 9.0% of GDP against a target of 34.3 billion or 8.9% of GDP. Meaning, so when we are positive figures, sir?
A bit, but they are on. I'd say what show go maybe and housing to me. Ideally goes and keba na 3 but to me bon homodin ehye on 2. It is still negative, but then it is a slightly improved negative. I won't clap for that.
Okay. Richmond, ma yenhwe na yemfa insi minim se ubenya bra perusi document when we can have further discussions. But of course, the takeaways from enen komoi ene se e was say yehwe na ye interest payment yeteso. Your revenue mobilization, you're ramping it up, and your debt in nominal terms.
Right.
And then our
forex situation, and then our expense pace,
and
we should rationalize it.
Rationalize it. Finance Minister Bosso has said or more rationalization. Okay. I don't know how far and no ebeko, but all in all. Baby, your numbers no data no edge and relative to debt to GDP. Right.
I'll say having said that, I think Ghana has shown some leadership in these difficult times, economically and things. I think we have shown some level of discipline and leadership. And Senka and your COVID, dear, probably we could have even done better. Then so say a jigum na ya
but minimum say 27 billion finance minister for the first quarter of next year now. Breakdown how. Number 1, compensation of employees. 7.7 billion.
Or the percentages count. Okay, continue.
Use of goods and services. 1,595,571,000. Interest payments. In excess of 7 billion.
Hold on. In 2 months, the interest payments crash so chain compensation.
Yeah, interest payment. That be compensation is 7.7 billion.
And interest payment.
And interest payment, yes, 7.002 billion.
Still,
the compensation was
it's almost just about I mean, interest payment need workforce compensation. Almost the same. Can you imagine?
Yes.
And no, actually say, Sikana Yajeno Crambo, Sika Yajeno. See, you 7, 8 young form year, you the revenue about. Yes, say you another 7, and you could your interest payments.
And subsidies, 259 million. Grants to other government units, 4.3 billion.
Wow.
Social benefits, 41 million. Other expenditure, 813 million. Capital expenditure, 1.9 billion.
Hold. Intina me can say Mr. Munshia and your money ye pa capital expenditure ye mpuntunyuma.
Yes.
Mpuntunyuma.
Yes.
So behesi ya yewe yesi we ya yewe. Saying
1.9 billion.
interest payment ye di tuya o ka ye de ho. Nyase ye tuya ka no interest
7 billion.
Into 7 billion. Any capital expenditure 1 something billion. Not just say interest payment no. Any capital expenditure interest payment is 7 times capital expenditure. It should tell you whether we are doing well or not.
Yeah. And the total expenditure for the Amabubo Swing is 23 billion. Now, for number 9, arrears clearance is 350 million. And amortization is 3.4 billion.
You see?
In Abomua, and 27 billion, 434 million.
In the 27 billion, and that has been Ghana's snapshot in terms of our economic management. Emu 1 point something billion, and the infrastructure development.
Yes.
Akesi ni nyina interest payment, remuneration, and then bibi kura your friend ada no kwa be 800 ada no e hono kwa ya choro ada na ye nneoma bebre ada so we economics na hu bibi a ye choro ada e kire say definition of ada no can be anything and no kwa 800 million it should raise an eyebrow and some grants to agencies ne nneoma bi a ye say ye dey ma those agencies as grants ye target any revenue bia to them into ho na make say ya line your expense. Nasi ya mema grant agencies, deputy CEO, one CEO, one director, no. Na appointment level, ne government machinery, no. Particularly the political machinery, no. Too much. Yeah, the 1 point something billion pen eco infrastructure. Near the mubes 14 billion. Yeah, the half a tier compensation. Near the half so your friend is saying interest payment. Now remember as a compensation umpono government and any political elite in that sushim and sankrana ordinary workers so abishim. I think say it is nothing strange. That is how we have lived our life all this while. But this shows say the year can no correct.
Richmond, may I say? Yeah, that's a papa.
I
think it's been helpful having you in our studios. Yeah, that's a panya. Dr. Richmond Kwame Frimpong, Executive Director, Emma Financial Literacy Foundation, Africa, and I'm AD and Komo. Ma menkwa homane so John Jenapo, Honorable.